Hello, reporter room friends. How are you today? Come on in, come on in. I'm so excited to be here on a Friday evening doing a live stream with you guys. We're going to be talking about the Bryan Kohberger case. Yes, there has been some new information. I think one of the things I really like about Judge Hippler is that he is more open to releasing things than Judge. I mean, the gag order was put in place to protect Bryan Kohberger's right to a fair trial. It was put in place by Ann Taylor and her defense team. So I respect that. But if there are some things that don't need to be redacted, then let's see. And so I guess so we have a lot. Oh my gosh, I have so much stuff to go through with you guys tonight. And let me just tell you what we have. Okay, so a lot of new information. So first of all, we're going to be talking about an order filed on Friday by District Judge Stephen Hippler. So he found, quote, no compelling evidence to keep a January 15th protective order sealed. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about BK's medical and mental health records. So why is, and Ann Taylor's okay with this. So why is she okay about releasing this? We're going to discuss that. We're going to talk about the underwear incident. Yes, you heard that right. How BK's car could end up being the key to everything, to everything. So come on in and let's get started. My name is Jessica Della Davies. I'm an investigative journalist, and my job is to investigate crimes, crime scenes, and potential suspects and share with you how to do the same thing. If you haven't subscribed to Reporter Room, please do. Let me get my pretty little subscribe. Like, share, leave a comment. I can't get to 40,000 subscribers without your help. Now, guys, we're not all going to agree on everything. You're not going to agree with me, and I'm not going to agree with you on every single case that we cover on this channel. Right now, I have videos about the Delphi case, the Sebastian Rogers case. I'm doing this case, and I'm going to start doing the Gabby Petito case, and I'm adding Blake Lively and her lawsuit with Justin. So there's going to be a lot of stuff. We're not going to all agree, and that's okay. We can have differing opinions. That's fine. So just know that, I respect your opinion and hope that you will respect mine as well, and that it's okay that we don't always all agree on everything. So come on in and let's get started.
This is Reporter Room with Jessica Della Davies.
Okay, so we're going to start with the medical records. So let's start with that, and then we're going to go back with the medical records from this week, from today. So this year, this week, this day, and then we're going to go back and look at a NewsNation interview about how this all came about. And then we're going to talk about victims on his cell phone, and why BK's car is going to be the key to everything. And please come on into the chat and bring your questions with you. So let's go ahead and let me grab this and move myself out of the way. Okay. And make sure I'm on the same page as you guys. All right, let me make this smaller. Can you guys see that okay? Yeah, you should be able to. All right, so my sourcing on this is NewsWeek. Okay, so new details were released about the medical and mental health records of Bryan Kohberger and his family are being handled ahead of the upcoming trial, which is going to take place in October. So Newsweek spoke to a legal expert about it, but in a court order that was filed on Friday, the judge found no compelling basis to keep a January 15th protective order sealed. So this must mean, in my opinion, that Ann Taylor was okay with this, because I don't think that the judge would have released these, because both the prosecution and the defense teams agreed that his medical and mental health records would both be sealed. Okay, so now we've got to change, and I'm wondering if this has anything to do with the fact that because this was like came about just a few days after Ann Taylor's um, motion to throw out the capital punishment that was denied by the judge. So this may be why all of a sudden she may be trying to make a case for mitigating factors, either to the prosecution in hopes that they'll take the capital punishment down, or to the jury. So let's talk about what this means, and just moving forward, and then we're going to talk about the other incident that I just told you about. So what to know. So a protective order filed earlier this month and was signed by the judge was initially sealed to protect the privacy of the information. Now, the information, according to the court order, it said, quote, "The information subject to this protective order is confidential in nature and not appropriate for public disclosure at this time." And a lot of people have been saying to me, "Yeah, but Jessica, we haven't seen any evidence." Well, no, because we've seen some, but we've only seen the tip of the iceberg, because this case is under a gag order, guys. It's under a gag order that was put in place by the defense to protect Bryan Kohberger. But the judge seems to be open to releasing a little bit of it. So protective orders prevent evidence in a criminal or a civil case too from being shared with external parties, including the media and members of the public. So let's talk about what this might mean. And let me, there we go. So then if anybody comes by, they know what case we're talking about. Let's talk about what this might mean. So I think it is being done, because remember, these records apparently, according to the article by Newsweek, were turned over, and also Fox News covered it too, the prosecution on January 9th. So that was 2 months after the judge ruled that he was not going to throw out the capital punishment, because remember, Ann Taylor was trying to get that thrown out. So therefore, in my opinion, this is most likely what happened. Whatever is in those records shows some type of mitigation that helps the defense. It helps BK avoid capital punishment. So either because Ann Taylor couldn't get that thrown out, she's now telling the prosecution, you know what, we can release this, and the prosecution was okay with it. But she may be trying to get the prosecutor, Bill Thompson, and his team to take away the capital punishment. I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen unless they reach some kind of a plea deal. But she may also be looking to appeal to the jury. So what is in this? I think the mental health aspect is by far the most interesting of the two. And I think we're going to find out that it relates to maybe him being a loner. Maybe he was diagnosed with Asperger's or something like that at some point. Or maybe it's related to OCD. We've all heard that Bryan had OCD, and this may account to the jury why he was arrested standing in his parents' kitchen, separating his trash from his parents' trash, wearing medical grade gloves. So the OCD, though, so that might help in a way for Ann Taylor, but then on the flip side, I think it can hurt too, because OCD, it stands for obsessive compulsive disorder, right? So if somebody's obsessive and compulsive, then that person's more likely to fixate on someone else and become obsessed with them. So I want to take you back to some NewsNation back in 2023, when we first learned that both the prosecution and the defense agreed to seal this. And then we're going to go through the incident, watching my words, how BK's car is the key to everything. And we're going to talk about what BK had on his cell phone that may be linking him to the victims in just a moment. So please stay with me. But let's start by just taking a little step back in time. I'm like, do I have this one open? Oh man, let me see if I have to open that one. There it is. I think I have to open it. That's okay. We can open it. All right. Can you guys see this? It should be popping up. It's trying to populate. Okay, you guys should be able to see this now. Okay, so let me just play this for you, and then I'm going to say hello to chat because this is social media, and then we're going to dig into, oh, I have a really good live stream plan for you guys. All right, so this is Ashley Banfield on NewsNation back in 2023 talking about this. Uh-oh, I think we're getting an ad.
It's kind of weird. It's a rare point of agreement between prosecutors and defense attorneys on Kohberger's team. This week, both.
I'm going to back it up just to make sure you guys can hear it because it's trying to pop up all its ads. All right, let me just back that up. Tell me if you guys can hear it okay.
Another update for you on the Bryan Kohberger case. It's not a huge one, but it is kind of weird. It's a rare point of agreement between prosecutors and defense attorneys on Kohberger's team. This week, both of these parties got a protective order keeping Bryan Kohberger's medical records off limits to anybody other than, quote, defense counsel, investigators, and retained experts. And the big question for this is, why is that necessary? Medical records are already protected by federal law, HIPAA. Yours and mine and even Kohberger's, they're all protected. So why did the attorneys think an additional court order was needed? We are going to dig into that one.
Oh my gosh, it crashed. It crashed. Let me try to refresh it. If not, that's okay. I can do it without Ashley. All right. So why did they feel the need to have this extra protection? And I think they really were trying to get I think they really were trying to keep this out of the public's hand because they were probably worried a little bit about the OCD, but I don't think it really matters that much. It might actually help him a little bit if they can understand, more about where he was coming from and why he felt a certain way. Let me say hi to chat. Native American is here and Kimmy's here, and then we're going to dig back into it. Bring your questions, you guys. This is our head mod and Jazz. So thank you to all of our mods, our subscribers, and our channel members. Princess Elsa's here. Brother Mike is here. Oh, we're going to have such a good chat today, guys. Pepper's here. Leslie, keeping it real, is here. Thank you so much, Brother Mike, for your super sticker. I really, really appreciate that. I will put it to good use. I will be putting it toward my computer. You might be able to hear it buzzing at me right now. Ken is saying the prosecution is hiding everything. This is a common comment that I get in the comment section, and I just want to address it. I know Ann Taylor, uses the word super secret a lot, and that the prosecution's hiding everything. And I think that's maybe in part why the judge is releasing some of this information to us, is to just, so he doesn't look like he's not being transparent, because look what just happened in the Delphi case, right? The judge in that case got so tight with everything that we still don't have transcripts of the trial. We don't have transcripts of the trial. We weren't allowed to see anything. We weren't allowed to get transcripts. I mean, nothing. So the prosecution is hiding everything. I see that comment a lot, Kenneth. I'm so glad you came and brought that comment with you. And we don't all have to agree. It's okay if you have a different opinion from me. But I just want to share with you that the prosecution is under a gag order that was put in place by Ann Taylor. The defense is the one that put that in place, and the judge granted it because it protects BK's right to a fair trial. So the prosecution isn't hiding everything. In fact, according to Ann Taylor, she said she had so much evidence that she needed more time to go through it. So that's why we're not having the trial, didn't have it last year, because we're going to be more than 2.5 years into discovery by the time we have this trial, right? So anyway, great comment. Bring your comments, and it's okay, as and Jazz is right. All civilly expressed comments are welcome. Just please be respectful to each other and no caps in the chat. Yeah, that doesn't help us with the algorithm. So if you do all caps a couple times, NJazz might have to time you out. But hopefully that, usually we're all grown-ups here, and we understand, we're not going to all agree on every case. We're not going to all agree on every case. That's okay. We don't have to all agree. Hi, Dabs. So bring your questions. Tell me what you guys are thinking. Thank you, Diane. I'm really glad you're here with me today. I didn't know how it was going to be on a Friday night. I don't think I've ever done a live. Midwest says, I thought the trial was in August. It is August. Did I say October? If I said October, my bad. But it is August. It was supposed to be earlier. And the first they were going to do a speedy trial, and Taylor waived his right to a speedy trial because she said she needed more time to go through all this information. So, that's where I kind of say, take what the prosecution and the defense says to the judge with a grain of salt, and just know that if they need more time to go through all the stuff, it means stuff is being turned over. Now, it doesn't mean Ann Taylor's entitled to everything that she is asking for. The judge, she made 13 motions. I already went through that on last Sunday's live stream. I'm not going to rehash it today because I have so much new stuff. I don't even know if I can get through it all with you. But yeah, thanks for that, Midwest. Much appreciated. Let me see who else is here. Boo Sheet. Hi, good to see you. Hi, Jay. Yeah, please like and subscribe. Yeah, we're doing a giveaway once we reach 40,000 subscribers. Remind me, and I will talk about it at the end. Is she going for the insanity plea? I don't think she is. That's such a hard thing to overcome. Yeah, thank you so much. Hit the thumbs up button, you guys. Thank you, Native American. Hi, Cynthia. All right, so let me see. We got Mike is here. We're going to have such a good chat. We have really good people in the chat today, you guys. Really interesting comments from you guys. Hi, Blazin. Good to see you. The goal is to get BK off the hook. Yeah, that's her goal. And she has to fight as hard as she can for this. This is like no shade at her. She's doing a great job on behalf of her client. And, that's she has to do that. That's her job, is to defend him. So let's talk about this cell phone, and then we're going to talk about the incident that I told you at the top of the chat, and we're going to talk about how BK's car is the key to everything, and we're going to talk about what was found on BK's cell phone in just a second. But we're going to just go into let me see. We did Ashley Banfield. I want to just dive into. Okay, so just really quickly, just quickly on the timeline for that night, for those of you that maybe aren't familiar with the case or aren't familiar with this channel, this is going to take me 30 seconds. Let's do just a very quick review of BK's alleged movements. Now, he is innocent until proven guilty. So, and the rest of this live stream is going to make a lot more sense if we just quickly go through that. So we know from the affidavit that BK used his cell phone, and it pinged near his off-campus Pullman apartment in Pullman, Washington, which is about 15 minutes away. It last pinged at 2:42 a.m. So if you're taking notes or you're doing a journal on this, go ahead and write that down. At 2:44 a.m., he was seen on surveillance footage traveling from WSU North on Southeast Nevada Street at Northeast Stadium Way. So this is why Ann Taylor had to put him in the car, because he's on surveillance camera. He's on surveillance footage traveling north. In the unsealed improbable cause affidavit, it revealed that BK's cell phone was detected in the area of the 1122 King Road house over 10 times between June of 2022 and the night of the crimes, right, which was November 13th into the wee hours. And then it pinged an 11th time the morning that the crime scene was discovered. And I told you my theory on that in last week's live stream. I'm not going to rehash it today. So on the night of the crimes, his phone pinged near the Washington State University, where he was working as a teaching assistant, shortly after his cell phone was put into airplane mode, or it was turned off. And then after the crimes, and BK's phone pinged again. I'm sorry, let me go back. Over an hour later, BK's phone pinged again. So I think that hour in between when it was switched off or put on to airplane mode was him dextering out the car. Allegedly, he's innocent until proven guilty. And then over an hour later, BK's phone pinged again near the Moscow, Idaho 1122 King Road house en route driving back. So this is after the crime. So the phone was switched off during the crimes, right? And then after the crimes, the phone was switched on. And I think people are saying, well, that, will prove he's not there. I don't know. This could go either way. Let me know which way you think it's going to go. It could help him with the jury. The phone pings don't put him right exactly at the crime scene, but we have, security camera footage. But they do show him going to the crime scene and leaving the crime scene, and then it's turned off right during the crimes. I don't know. That, to me, that could also hurt him. Just curious what your thoughts are on that. So, and then his white Hyundai Elantra, which was caught on security cameras, as well as the DNA on the knife sheath at the victim's home, also connected him to the crimes. And again, he's innocent until proven guilty. Okay, let's talk about what BK had on his cell phone and how it links back to the victims. And then we're going to talk about the incident next. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here. Let me close this one out and let me grab this one instead. I don't know why this is like the news articles are making me nervous. I have all these packages prepared and they're just spinning right now. I'm having to wait for them to populate for a second. Oh, I just hope I don't lose you guys on this live stream. Okay, well, that populates. Let me just jump ahead. I do want to show you that. Okay, here it goes. All right. So this is, let me show this to you. This is Fox. All right. This is, there's a whole bunch of stuff in this. This goes on and on and on. So you're going to see some stuff I'm going to go through, but some stuff I've already covered in this channel. So I'm not going to go. Let me move myself out of the way. There. Okay. Everybody should be able to see that pretty well. Let me just move myself down here. Nope. I'm still blocking it. Don't like that either. That's better. Okay. I'd rather. Okay. So we've already talked about this. He allegedly stalked another female victim. But some people don't know this at Washington State University. And it was a ruse that ended up with BK installing surveillance cameras inside her home and allegedly watching her on the surveillance cameras. But that's not what we're here to do. So he tended and befriended her. And I don't know if this will come in as, like a pattern of behavior or not. I guess we will find out. But the reason you're seeing BTK pictured here and is because his daughter weighed in on this. And also Dr. Kathleen Ramsland said that this type of peeping Tom is really common, and that BTK was also known for doing peeping Tom. And both Bryan Kohberger and Dennis Rader both studied criminal justice. And Dennis Rader found work at ADT, a security company installing security cameras. So we're not going to dig into that too much because we're going to be going down here to this. Okay. So this is the incident that we're going to be talking about. Everybody can see that. Okay. Okay. So there was a previous case in which a woman called the Moscow police to report that someone had tampered with her car and stuffed her undergarments, I'm watching my words here, in her cup holder. However, the police were commonly called to a neighborhood. Remember, this house was located right near Greeks Row. It was known as a party house. So that whole area in and around there. So, but there are a laundry list of SKs who have done something similar where they've taken somebody's undergarments. Usually it's a female. And this includes Joel Rifkin and Canadian pilot Russell Williams. So was he collecting trophies? So it says these girls had such a computer presence because of technology. His trophy could be right on his computer. So let's talk about that for a second. Let me make this. So let's talk about this incident. So you'll also recall that Xana, remember her family came out and said that they had just changed the locks on her bedroom door just prior to the November 13th. So think about the incident that was near the house with the undergarments. Think about Xana changing her locks just the weekend before this all happened, before November 13th of 2022. And then consider how well thought out and executed his plan was to spy on this WSU colleague, where he was a teaching assistant at Washington State University. He tended and befriended her, gained her confidence, went in, moved a few things around, and then when she said, "Oh, I'm so upset that somebody came in and moved a few things around," he immediately offered to install security cameras on the inside of her house and then use them to watch her. So I don't know, that shows to me a very well organized perpetrator if it ends up to be true. And my source again on this is Fox. Okay, so now let's talk about the suspicious sibling, and then we're going to get into in just like 3 minutes why BK's car is everything evidence wise. So let's talk about the suspicious sibling. So immediate relatives were may have suspected BK once law enforcement announced that they were looking for that Hyundai Elantra. So this is an unnamed source. Okay. One of BK's sisters allegedly found his behavior back in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, quote, odd, and pieced together his connection to his white Hyundai Elantra and his previous proximity to the November 13th crime scene. Remember, Pullman, Washington is just 15 minutes away from Moscow. He lived 15 minutes away from their house. And his sister reportedly even floated the idea to the family that BK was a suspect. So it makes you wonder what was going on in that house that would have made his sister think he was suspicious. Was the way he viewed women or treated women? Was it, the gloves and his separating his trash from his family's trash that like maybe raised some alarms? Was there something that had been said in his past or something we don't know about yet, that would have made them? And the other thing that I think is really interesting about Bryan Kohberger's sisters is that both of them became licensed mental health professionals. Now, usually when you have like multiple family members becoming licensed mental health professionals, not in all cases, but a lot of times it means that there was something going on in the household. Now, we know BK had addiction issues. We know he was arrested for taking his sister's cell phone, but it makes me wonder if there were some other things that also went on that we just don't know about. So this is what BTK's daughter said. She said, if his family did allegedly suspect him before he was arrested, I would hope they approached law enforcement, but I understand from long experience how much hindsight factors in. So if you think about Dennis Rader, who was BTK, he was a church deacon. He was older. I mean, nobody would have ever guessed that he would be able to be capable of the crimes that he is capable of doing. I'm watching my words here, just in case you have little ones in the room. So according to Dateline, his relatives went outside to search his car, but it had already been cleaned. And law enforcement, you will recall, also told us that BK was seen when they were surveilling him in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, prior to arresting him, that they watched him meticulously cleaning that car. But this is what family members becoming so suspicious. This is John Kelly, a criminal profiler. Usually before an arrest is usually a red flag. It's very unusual for someone to begin to believe a family member might be being capable of doing away with someone. I'm watching my words here, without good reason. So it does make you wonder, like, what happened in his past that made his sisters think that he could be capable of something like this. Were there more incidences like this? Remember, he was kicked out of school. He was kicked out of school and had to do homeschool for his last year of high school because of his behavior toward females. So maybe there's something more that we just don't know. All right, so we're going to talk about why BK's car is the key to everything. In just a second, I do want to take a couple questions for chat because that is one of the most fun things about doing live streams as I get to interact with you guys. Let me see if I can just, let's just put that there. Let me just, okay. Just so that anybody who's coming by knows what in the heck we're doing. Okay. So yeah, let me check in and see if you guys have questions. Tell me your questions. If I can answer them, I will. If I don't know, I'll just tell you I don't know. If I'm speculating, I'll tell you I'm speculating. Leslie thinks it's August unless Ann Taylor keeps delaying. Yeah. DM is lurking. I hope you're feeling better, DM. I know you weren't feeling well. Thank you so much, Clue Ken. You're really kind. Kenneth Blessing says, thank you. Like your show, I should have been more specific. The state FBI is having everything to do with IGG. Well, Ann Taylor that's her version of it, right? And I don't know if the state just doesn't know, because remember, they gave control over this to the FBI, so they may not know who did what exactly, but that's not even part of their case, because the IGG is not coming in as part of the prosecution case. They're only going to bring in this cheek swab that they got from BK after he was arrested. But, the judge is going to rule on that. Now, I don't think Ann Taylor's going to get the IGG information thrown out. I don't want to mislead you, and I could be wrong. But the reason I don't think that the judge is going to throw it out is because of the questions that he asked, which I covered in a video titled Super Secret, just in the last week or so. And if you go back through, you can hear how he's talking to Ann Taylor, and you can hear the questions, and it just doesn't seem like he's leaning toward, granting that motion. And the other reason that I don't think he's going to grant the motion for her for that Ann Taylor wants, which is to throw out the IGG DNA, is because Latah County Judge John Judge already ruled on this. Ann Taylor's actually getting a second bite at the apple. That was one of the brilliant things that she did, which was getting the trial moved from Latah County to Ada County. She gets to retry this AGG in front of a different judge. But in watching his mannerisms and the way he was talking with Ann Taylor, I don't think that dog's going to hunt with him. I think the IGG DNA, it's not coming in as part of the prosecution, but I don't think that the judge is going to rule in Ann Taylor's favor, which is to throw out the IGG and everything that came after it, including the search. She doesn't want his car, that's one of the motions. She remember she said there was no DNA evidence in his car. She kind of parsed the words. She didn't say there was no evidence in the car. And I'm going to tell you, I was trying to figure that out last week, but I think I do have it figured out this week. So anyway, great question. Thank you so much for bringing your questions, you guys. Thank you. Thank you. I just got this shirt for Christmas. Thank you so much. Michelle says, I don't seem to be able to join as a member. It's a blank screen on the membership link. Is there a problem? I don't know. It shouldn't be. You should be able to click the little money thing. There's like a little, I don't know what it looks like, actually. I shouldn't say that. Michelle, maybe NJAS can help you with that, because I'm not really sure. Hey, Allegedly Innocent. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining me today. Allegedly says that the link does work. Okay, thank you for that. Maybe you guys can direct her. I'm not really sure. Jay says, I love that you're using dexterine, and we all know what that means. I know we have new words from this crime. I guess that's the only silver lining, because everything else about this crime is like really dark. Bluetooth, yes. We talked at length about Bluetooth. Now, for those of you that don't know, or weren't with me last year, and this is a Critical Thinkers channel. So if you want to have all the information so you can make up your own mind, I'm not going to tell you what you should think or not think. You are all welcome to your own opinions. We are never going to agree on every single case. We're just not. And that's okay. as you know, just share your opinion respectfully. So the Bluetooth, I believe, is going to line up with the cell phone pings. And we saw a little bit of geofencing in Delphi, and I talked about this last year. So if you already heard it, I apologize, but this is for new people who don't know me and don't know this channel very well. Kaylee's father was wondering why he didn't get Kaylee's Apple Watch and her laptop returned to him, why that was being held by law enforcement. And I believe it's being used in this case by the prosecution. And what happens when you go into a coffee house, to get a cup of coffee, or you go into a hospital in the emergency room, or maybe you go into a grocery store, they will offer you to use their Wi-Fi, right? They offer you to use their Wi-Fi. And that creates what we call a handshake. Even though you don't accept their Wi-Fi, it still creates a handshake, which is registered by their computer, their internet, and registered by your phone. And this is how they are tracking us. Now, most of this is being used to sell you stuff, right? It's being used by stores to sell you stuff. They see you in the emergency room, they'll try to sell you some medicine. If they see you at a particular coffee shop, they might show you an ad about coffee, right? It's used to sell you stuff. But law enforcement is using this to track criminals. And I believe that the cell phone pings are not going to stand on their own, which is why Ann Taylor had to put him in the car. I believe, and I could be wrong, I believe that the reason that Kaylee's Apple Watch and laptop have not been returned back to her family when all of her other belongings were is because her Bluetooth, and she did have a Bluetooth, registered a handshake. Maybe not the night of the crime because he had his phone on airplane mode, but in the 11 times leading up to that, proving that there was a pattern. We will see. We will see. Princess Elsa says, sometimes you have to go through the YouTube on Google. Oh, thank you for that. Kenneth says, per his car, there's no evidence to say that it was his car in the video. Well, we don't know that yet. So to say there's no evidence, we can't really say that yet, right? Because there's a gag order that's been put in place by Ann Taylor and the defense team, and it protects BK's right to a fair trial. And moving the trial from Latah County to Ada County is another way to protect his rights to a fair trial. And we all want that. We want this trial to be fair. We don't want the wrong person to be convicted. None of us want that, even if we don't agree on other things. I think can all agree on that. But we don't know that his license plate cannot be seen because we have not seen any of the body, any of the cameras. But Ann Taylor did slip up, and I did cover it in the live stream of the hearing. Ann Taylor admitted that it was BK's car. She did slip up in one of the hearings that I televised, and I didn't catch it during the hearing, but when I went back, and I did make a video on it. If you go back to March or April of 2024, you will find that video there. I have 130 plus videos on this case. I've been on it from the beginning, which is why I'm like, keep digging, because every time I dig, I find stuff. But yeah, so saying that we don't have any evidence, well, we don't know yet. So maybe we don't have a lot of evidence. Maybe we do have a lot of evidence. We don't know because there's a gag order in place. So I'm going to say, let's table that and see what happens. Paula, aka Pabin. Is it Pabin? Actually, we need to talk about other better suspects. The cops, the FBI were lying. That's why Ann Taylor showed his GPS was nowhere near the King Rose house. You need to listen to the preacher. I have been on this case since the very, very beginning. Don't believe me? Go back. I've made 135 videos on this case, Paula. And I'm glad you asked me this because, you guys that don't know me and haven't been with Reporter Room since I began covering this case, how would you know? But anyway, I've linked the playlist in the description below. Feel free. I was on the case before they found Brian, and we were looking at other people on this. But let's just see. So, I haven't seen anybody else being arrested. And the reason I'm talking about this case in terms of BK is because Ann Taylor is the one that's filing the motions. How would I talk about this without talking about Bryan Kohberger? She's filing motions on behalf of him. So we have to talk about it in terms of him. As far as the roommates, I'm kind of a taken back that there's like, and I'm not saying you're saying this, Paula, so let me take your comment down so nobody misunderstands, but I'm kind of a taken back that some people think that the roommates, are suspects. Law enforcement interrogated them, and I believe was able to rule them out. How? We don't know yet, but I'm urging caution with them. Um, and I'm not going to go too much into it beyond that, except they haven't been charged with a thing. They haven't been charged with anything, and they're stuck under a gag order. And because of this gag order, all of these things can be attributed to the roommates. And I just don't think it's fair. I just don't think it's fair because they can't defend themselves. So I'm urging caution until if I find something different later, then I will come back to you and I will tell you. All right. Leslie, thank you so much for gifting a reporter room membership. Whoever got that membership, please let me know. Thank you so much, Leslie. That's really, really nice. If you see the blue check marks and the red check marks and the green, the first month you remember it's green, the second month it's red, and then from the third month onward, it turns blue, and then you're a verified member of the channel. So let's see what other questions? Yeah, peeping is a powerful motive. It really is. And we used to think peeping toms were harmless, right? We thought it was really harmless, and we've since learned that it's not harmless at all. It's not harmless at all. And leaving your windows open can lead to horrible, horrible things. Leaving your curtains open can, not, but it can lead to somebody becoming obsessed with you, right? And that's where I think if this mental health issue, if it does turn out that it's OCD, it could work for him in the one sense in that it would explain the medical gloves, but it could work against him in the other sense in that it would explain why he became obsessed with this. Because I think the jury is going to want to know what the motive was. I think they're going to want to know why, right? They're going to want to know why. Charmaine says peepers have been known to escalate. Well, yeah, you're right. They really have. They really have. Too much to handle. Just because you agree or disagree with somebody doesn't mean it's misinformation. I'm a journalistic channel. The channel is called Reporter Room, so I'm using journalistic sources as my sourcing. So I hope you understand. Just because we don't agree doesn't mean that you're making something up. It doesn't mean that I'm making something up. I think I'm being really clear with when I'm using the sources and when I'm doing that. So let's just try. We're not going to agree on all the cases, and I'm not going to agree with you. And let's not burn bridges with each other now, because a year from now, this case is going to be over and we're going to all be on to something else, unfortunately. And it might be something that we agree on then, right? I think a lot of us agree on the Sebastian Rogers case. I have some people who don't agree with me on that, but most of you guys know how I feel about that case. There's some people that agree with me on the Delphi case. Some people don't. That's okay. We're not going to all agree on every single case that we cover together. Some of you guys might not agree with me on the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni case, but I'm still going to cover it. Some of you may not agree with the Gabby Petito case, but we're still going to cover. Oh yeah, before I forget to tell you, Gabby Petito, there's going to be a Netflix series, and we're going to be covering that on this channel. So yeah, please give this a thumbs up on your way in or the way out. And let me see if we can take one or two more questions, and then I want to get on to the next thing because we do have a lot to get through. Mike says, I think the sister helping with the timing of the raid. I'm wondering if he got I wonder if he got tipped up. And yes, there is DNA evidence. The DNA matched BK, not in the million, not in the billion, in the octillion, which is 8, which is almost more than there are people on the planet. So I hope I've answered your question on that. Okay. Cynthia says, doesn't this violate his HIPAA? Not if he's agreed to it. And so this is what I think. So yes, I think it does. And that's why I wanted to play the Ashley Banfield take, because, Ashley Banfield's take on this, was that, they didn't really need to have this gag order in place because HIPAA already protects them. But I do think gag orders were needed because there was a lot of stuff leaking at the beginning of this case, you guys, a lot. So does this violate his HIPAA? Not if he's agreed to it. So this is why I think that Ann Taylor is using his mental health and maybe a physical diagnosis also, to either help his case with the jury or to help her get the capital punishment off the table with the prosecution, maybe having some type of a negotiation with them. We will see. We will see. Thank you so much to Kaylee for gifting a Reporter Room membership. This is really nice of you guys. If you guys got a membership, please let me know in the comment section below. And thank you so much to NJAS for gifting 5 Reporter Room memberships. Wow, that is really generous. Thank you guys all so much. I really, really appreciate that. And it's always so nice to have. Thank you for starring them for me so I could find them too. Sometimes I get to stuff. And yeah, I do the YouTube Premium too, Allison. I love it too. All right, so let's go. Let's keep going because I have a lot to get into. I'm worried I'm not going to get through all of it. So let's dig into this. All right, let me make this smaller. Okay, so we're going to talk about why the car is such a critical piece of evidence. Okay, so my sourcing on this is Newsweek, and I'm just going to go through. I made my own notes. Okay, so why BK's car is the key to everything. So this I started off with Fox News Digital, which I couldn't share with you guys because you have to have a subscription. I didn't know how they were going to feel about me using it without being that I don't have a subscription to show it to everybody. So I didn't want to get in any trouble. So I found another source on this, but it's also been covered by Fox News. So Ted Williams, who's an attorney, he's a former homicide detective. He says that the case is going to hinge on 5 things. He says it's going to hinge on the DNA evidence. And we know that knife sheath, which was found underneath and to the side of Maddie, in the snap of the knife sheath on the knife that is believed to have done away with Maddie, Kaylee, Ethan, and Xana, that BK's DNA was in that snap of the knife sheath. And they matched that to a cheek swab that they collected once they arrested him. And they had to get a warrant to get that cheek swab. So I think this is why Ann Taylor's working overtime trying to get the DNA evidence thrown out. She understands as a criminal defense attorney that DNA found on the knife sheath, when we know it was a knife that did this, underneath and to the side of Maddie, so in the bedding underneath Maddie, is devastating. And I believe he lost the perpetrator. And again, Bryan is innocent until proven guilty. I believe he lost the knife sheath because when he went into Maddie's room, Kaylee was there too. I don't think he was expecting both of these young women to be together in the same bed. The number 2 is BK's phone pings. The cell phone data is concerning enough to the defense team that they hired their own expert to counteract this. I believe, as I shared with you a few minutes ago, it's going to line up with the geofencing, and that prosecution is also going to line it up with traffic cams and doorbell cams to show us that it's his car. So for everybody saying there's no evidence, there's a gag order. We haven't seen it all yet. We're going to have to wait till August, but I believe this trial is going to be televised because the judge is letting us watch all the hearings, except for that one that he had that was like 5.5 hours, but he's unredacting that. And as soon as it's unredacted, I'm going to go live and come talk to you about it. 3, whatever evidence the police were able to collect after they seized from BK's Hyundai Elantra at his parents' house in Pennsylvania, we know Ann Taylor is working overtime. So I believe what was in that house, which we have heard that there was an ID belonging to one of the victims inside a glove, inside a box, inside his parents' Albrightsville, Pennsylvania home. And if this is true, this will be as damaging to the defense, in my opinion, as DNA, because how would a victim's ID make its way from Moscow, Idaho, into the home of Bryan Kohberger's parents? So I think so. That's number 4. And number 5 is going to be the Hyundai Elantra itself. I believe there are significant reasons why Ann Taylor is working hard to keep the evidence that was collected from BK's parents' house and his Hyundai Elantra away from the jury. And I was thinking last week that it was probably maybe his cell phone was in the car or in the house, but I think it's more than that. So I want to go back through some of the evidence that remember, if the defense is trying to suppress the evidence, so there is evidence, you guys. She filed 13 motions to suppress evidence. So if the defense is trying to suppress the evidence or keep the jury from seeing the evidence, it means it's bad for Bryan Kohberger. So if they want the evidence to come in, then it means it's good or helpful for Bryan Kohberger. So I hope that helps. So let's go back and consider what law enforcement removed from BK's Hyundai Elantra. Let's consider these and just see if we can figure out why this car is, in my opinion, is going to be the key to everything. Law enforcement took the door panel. They took the seat cushions and the headrest. And remember, Ann Taylor said there was no DNA evidence. She didn't say there was no evidence, and she wants the search for the car excluded. Law enforcement removed a seatbelt. So according to this article that I read on Fox today, if you have the seatbelt buckled, as you bring it across, you might pick up some fibers, and as it snaps back, you can pick up more stuff, and you can actually catch stuff on the front of that seatbelt that gets sucked into I don't know what they call it, the seatbelt dispenser where your shoulder pad sits up here, could actually get sucked back into here, or even on your lap band, it can get sucked back in, and it may be down in there. So they removed the entire seatbelt, and as it retracts, did it catch any fibers from the 1122 King Road house? Any hairs, any pet hair? Another thing they took was a visor, brake, and gas pedal. Again, I think they're looking for some type of fiber transfer on the brake or gas pedal, although I would think that a criminologist with working on his PhD would put on some type of booties. So I'll be surprised if they found anything there, but you never know. But this is what else they found inside his vehicle. They found hiking boots, a shovel, goggles. So were these goggles to protect from splatter? Or were these night vision goggles that was maybe used to see inside the house? If he had those on, is that how he missed Dylan? If he had the goggles on? I don't know. They also found gloves, floor mats, which you would expect, a Band-Aid, maps, documents, and other items that we don't know yet. So again, there is evidence. If there wasn't evidence, then Ann Taylor wouldn't have filed 13 motions to suppress the evidence. So I just want to clear that up. There is some evidence here, guys. So according to law enforcement, and this is according to experts, law enforcement's going to be looking for any type of biological material that will link BK back to the 1122 King Road house. Hair, dog hair, fibers, anything. So I think the use of the bleach, if that was used, a lot of people think he, was cleaning the car excessively with some type of cleaning solution, and maybe that's how he helped mitigate DNA. I think he dextered out the car. I think he took off his monkey suit, allegedly, if he did it. But I think that if it is found, even if they don't find DNA, but it's found that there's bleach all over the car, I think that's also gonna hurt, because especially if it's way overdone. If it's just a normal amount like you would do to wash a car, but if it's crazy overdone, that could come back to hurt him too. So a lot of people have asked me, he was a criminology student, Jessica, why would he drive his own car to the crime scene? And, I've shared with you that, what were his alternatives, right? His alternatives were to rent a car, to walk, to bike, to borrow a car from a friend. But I think he took his own car because this gave him control over the vehicle. He could clean it as many times as he wanted. He could dexter it out. Remember, that phone turned off an hour before the crime scene. I think that was him getting ready, allegedly. Now, think about this. On November 29th, so this is the crimes happened on November 13th, a WSU officer found the 2015 Hyundai Elantra that was registered to BK, but another officer that day saw his Hyundai Elantra in the parking lot and looked up his name and noticed that he had switched his registration. He switched his plates from Pennsylvania to Washington on November 18th, just 5 days after the crime. So I'm not saying this in and of itself is suspicious, but this would, in my opinion, so this is just an effort to try to answer your question. Why would he have felt more comfortable to use his car? Because he could clean it as many times as he wanted. He could kit it out. He didn't have to have it leading back to a rental agency, which would lead right back to him. He didn't have to have the car lead back to a friend, which would lead right back to him. He wasn't going to make it there and back in a timely manner on a bike. So, in my opinion, he felt comfortable doing using his own car because he knew he was changing out those plates. He knew he was changing out those plates, and I think that made him feel more safe to clean out his own car. So I don't want to confuse you guys with the traffic stops, but I did pull it up in case you guys, maybe you don't know what BK, if you weren't with me last year, maybe you don't know what he sounds like. But let me grab this one. If you want to hear what he sounds like, how does he talk? How does he move? Because all we've really heard him say is like one-word sentences. So my sourcing on this is ABC News. I'm not going to play the whole thing. We'll just play like a minute, just so you guys can get.
Now to that suspect in the murders of 4 Idaho college students. New police body camera video coming to light. ABC's Faith Abube is here with the details. Faith, good morning to you.
I'm going to just skip over this. I just want to get to the body cam footage. Okay, here we go.
One of the newly released police videos captured a month before the killings show Kohberger talking his way out of a traffic ticket. Now, this is significant because the traffic stop after Kohberger allegedly ran a red light happens not too far from the University of Idaho. And Kohberger is driving the same white vehicle that police believe he used on the night of the murders.
Why would you put a video up of BK where people probably want to see him talk and then put your banner right across his face? Oh my God.
The officer eventually lets him go, but fast forward to December, and the second police body cam footage shows officers searching the apartment of Kohberger. Now,
okay, I thought they were going to actually show him. They did not, unfortunately. Okay. I thought they were showing it. It sure looked like they were, but that's okay. All right, let me check in with chat. Let me make this big so anybody coming by knows what we're talking about. Now let me move myself over here out of the way. Okay, let me check back in with chat. See if we have any more questions. Bring your questions. If I can answer them, great. If I can't, Allison thinks she's down to his mental health. She's running out of options. Yeah, it's very possible because, I mean, from her point of view, she is running out of options. She couldn't get, she's got to try everything she can to save his life. That's her job. And to, keep him out of prison. That's her job. So she has to try every single thing she can try. So she's, the fact that she's letting the mental health come in when she originally didn't want it in could be that, Allison. You could be right. Dab says they're going to try everything to get the DP off the table. I agree. I think, do you think there's any chance? I'm curious. Put a 1 in the chat if you think there's a chance that a plea deal could happen if they take DP off the table. Capital, because you guys, it's a firing squad in Idaho now. I'm sorry, that just feels like too much for me. I feel like that's, I don't know that, but I can understand from the family's point of view after what happened. If he is guilty and he did do this, and the jury finds him guilty, and then does the says capital punishment, I can understand from a victim's family's perspective why they might want this. But man, it just feels there. I don't know. There's something horrifying about it too. Mike says, I was in Whittier when the Night Stalker was around. I was little. I freaked out because he was in Whittier. Wow, that must have been scary. That was Richard Ramirez, right? Mother of Cycle Breakers says, except that who still believes WSUQ? Yeah, she's been she's been debunked. I didn't have her on my channel because there was no way to verify anything she was saying was true. I don't even know if she really had kids at WSU. Maybe she showed some of the content creators. But yeah, that's pretty much been debunked. You're right about that. Becky says, isn't his medical records for when he is found guilty? Isn't it used during that phase? Well, his medical records are protected under HIPAA. So HIPAA protects him from having his medical records be used in the trial at all. So the fact that Ann Taylor's allowing them to come in now is significant. I think it is significant because she wanted them excluded. Both the prosecution and the defense agreed that both his medical records and his mental health records would not be part of this trial. And now she wants it to come in. So the judge is fine. It can come in. DM says, oh, she's talking to Charmaine. Sorry. Mike says, they gave us a bogus drawing of him at first. I hated that sketch. It was creepy. Rollo says, they supposedly found touch DNA, no blood on a sheath that didn't exist. Well, the sheath didn't exist or mentioned till after his arrest, but they did find more blood evidence on B and D unidentified male profiles. Well, first of all, we know the profiles were male. If we know the profiles of the blood were male, then we know that that has been tested, because we wouldn't know. You can't look at blood and tell if it belongs to a man or a woman, right? So I think more than likely the blood evidence, we'll find out more at trial when Ann Taylor puts on her case. We'll learn more. And this might be a great chance for the defense to say, somebody else did this. And remember, we haven't seen everything, but there is touch DNA. We don't know that there's no blood on the sheath. I'm not sure where that came from. And I'm not picking on you, Rollo. I just wanted to answer your questions. There's no blood on the sheath. I don't know where that came from, because the sheath was found underneath and to the side of Maddie. And I have never heard anyone from law enforcement say there was no blood on it. I think it probably did have it. And then they found unidentified males. Well, if they were males, I think they were identified. So I think we'll have to wait to the trial. My guess, if I were taking a guess, is that it was either one of Ethan's friends who stopped by and discovered the crime scene when Bethany let them in the door, that touched the wall, maybe started to go up the stairs or went up the stairs. I don't know. Or it was somebody with law enforcement that we heard the crime scene was horrific. It was like one of the worst crime scenes that these law enforcement personnel had ever seen. So wouldn't be, if you slipped, you might put your hand out, even if it was, gloved and touched the wall. So we'll see. But the fact that they know it's male tells me that they do know who it belonged to. But maybe I'm wrong. We'll find out at the trial. Yeah, thank you so much for giving this a thumbs up. And thank you so much for bringing all your excellent questions. Kimmy says, I believe that Kaylee walked in on him. No, she was in the bed with him, with Maddie. Kaylee, this is what Kaylee's parents have told us. Kaylee's parents, and this is why I think he did lose the knife sheath, allegedly. I think that he, pulled it out and he had his hands on both. I don't think he was expecting Kaylee to be in the bed with Maddie. And Kaylee didn't jump in the bed and then jump behind Maddie. In my opinion, we'll find out more at the trial. I could be wrong. But I think that Kaylee was in bed with Maddie. And I think the person that called out, there's someone here, in my opinion, was actually Xana. I think Xana came out from her room when he was upstairs. I think he made a beeline up to the third floor. Remember, Xana had that DoorDash delivery that ended up next to the kitchen sink. And we know she wasn't eating it in the kitchen when he came in through the patio doors. But I believe the patio doors were left open. Xana would have come out with her DoorDash delivery, whoosh, cold air. And I believe she said to Ethan and to Dylan to warn the house, there's someone here. And I believe that's who Dylan heard. She said she believes that it was Kaylee, but she wasn't sure. We'll have to wait and hear from Dylan, because maybe I've got this wrong. And maybe we will find out what happened. But my understanding is that from Kaylee's parents, Steve and Christy Goncalves, is that Kaylee was actually trapped between the wall and Maddie. Remember, that room is really tiny, and it was just a little bed so that she couldn't get away. Even if she no matter what, she couldn't get away. Leslie says, I wonder if they'll ever find the knife. I don't think so, but my understanding is that they did find out where it was ordered from. They have been able to show that the K-bar knife was ordered from BK. This is one of the early leaks. We'll have to see if it's true or not true, but it was reported out by multiple reputable sourcing. Jay says, oh, I forgot about the ID they found in Pennsylvania. Yeah, I think that could really hurt the defense if that ID, which was found inside a glove, inside a box, inside that Albrightsville, Pennsylvania home, and this may be why Ann Taylor is fighting so hard to not let that search in. That's why she made the motion to suppress all of the evidence. That is, I think, as devastating, maybe more devastating than the DNA. Because how would a victim's ID get all the way from Pullman or from Moscow, Idaho to Albrightsville, Pennsylvania? So, for people who are saying there's no evidence, Ann Taylor made 13 motions to exclude evidence. So yeah, there is evidence, you guys. There is. Thank you, Blazin. Charmaine says, every time someone says Hyundai Elantra, I get upset because that was my first car back in the day. It's a nice car. It's a nice car. It's got great ratings. It's a great car. Rollo says, phone data is all exculpatory. FBI agent already sent Ann his own digital CSLB data records. Same one showed Bryan wasn't in the area during the crimes. Well, this is where we'll have the battle of the experts, right? Because Ann Taylor's guy is going to probably go before the jury, and he's going to do a good job of saying, and this guy usually testifies for the prosecution, so I think he's going to be a good witness for the defense. He's going to do a really good job of saying why BK couldn't have been at the scene, and then the prosecution is going to come in, and they're going to, and I don't know what Cy is going to come in with, but at the prosecution, I have a better idea of what they're going to come in with because of the early leaks. I think they're going to, and also from the affidavit and from some of the things Ann Taylor has told us, they're going to come in with the DNA. They're going to come in with the cameras, any doorbell cam, any auto cam that show that vehicle. And I believe that it is going to show that it was BK's car, maybe a license plate, maybe the tag, just not having the tags the same way when he lived in Pennsylvania versus the tags when they're in Washington. But I think they are going to, and they may have camera footage where they can actually put him in the car. Ann Taylor accidentally slipped up and said it was his car. So I do have a video on that. You don't have to take my word for it. You can watch the video and you can hear her say it with her own mouth. So yeah, I think their expert's going to do a really good job. And I think the prosecution's going to have an expert that's going to try to line up those cell phone pings with geofencing. If they have any handshakes in the 11 visits besides the crime scene night, besides the night that the crimes were committed, they have any handshakes, geofencing that shows that his phone, that Kaylee's Bluetooth offered him a handshake, that also could be. So I think the prosecution is going to put on a brick by brick, piece by piece circumstantial case. But Ann Taylor's going to, she's good. I think she's going to do a really good job. I think this is going to be probably one of the most interesting trials we've ever seen together as a true crime community. I do plan to air it on this channel. I hope you'll come and watch it together as a reporter room community. Or if the animal hair is from Murphy. Yes, we've heard about animal hair. That would also be devastating. That they in his Pullman apartment. Now, Ann Taylor also wants to suppress the evidence that was collected at his apartment. And I don't know if it's animal hair. I don't know if Murphy was just jumping around and Dylan just heard him jumping around and assumed he was playing with Kaylee. I don't know if he interacted with the dog at all, but there would have been maybe dog hair on Maddie and Kaylee. So yeah, that's a great point. I don't know. We will see. Kami thinks it's I think it's going to be a very interesting case. It's going to be the battle of the experts. It's going to be a battle of really good attorneys and it's definitely going to be a trial worth watching. AZ says they used historical cell site location of Justin Schubach to find the body of Robert Barron in the Justin Schubach case. It can pinpoint. Thank you so much for sharing that. That really does help. And maybe the geofencing data will exonerate BK. You know, maybe Ann Taylor can bring in geofencing that shows that his phone got a handshake somewhere else. You know, we'll see. Yeah, they found a shovel in the car. So I told you where I thought the evidence was. Remember the day after BK was caught on camera going into and leaving from that Albertsons, and that's where they were able to identify that it was him. They got the camera footage of that. And I showed you what that was near. It was near that big park, that like acres and thousands of that huge the reservation. Let me see if I can pull it up. I'm trying to see if I can get it up with just the words Kohberger Reservation and Albertsons. There we go. Well, I have it, but it's a Reddit. It's a Reddit post. Okay. Let's see. I'm just looking to see if there's anything. No, there's nothing that I'm not going to take a Reddit post and use it on my channel. It's just not. Let me close that. It's just not what I would consider like it's just somebody talking on Reddit. I was going to see if they had a link to anything that would be help. So let's see. Because he drove down way out of the way. So here we go. This is still Reddit. Okay, so this is the theory. Why did BK go to Albertsons? And I think it was because it was by that big state park that was down that way. It was way out of his way. There was other stores that were much closer to his house that he definitely could have gone to. So why go all the way down there? And we got lots of Reddit. I'm getting lots of Reddit posts, but let's see. Okay, let me share this. Okay, so this is what I would consider to be more. I like to go with journalistic sources because they're more likely to fact check, than just those of us giving us. Oh, and I have to subscribe. I'm not a member. Okay, well, I'll cover that on next week. So if you guys want me to dive into that, I will definitely look into it on next week. Sorry about that. I was just hoping it would pop up really fast. It didn't. So I don't want to take a whole bunch of time looking for it. All right, let's get back to the questions. You guys are bringing some really good questions, though. This is why I love live streaming with you guys. I really love hearing your take on it and hearing your side of it, because your side of it makes me look up something else, which makes me look up something else. So it really is good. Micro Kimmy says she said there was a lack of DNA evidence, not that there wasn't any. Right. And of course, she's going to frame it. She's not going to say there's tons of evidence against my client, Bryan Kohberger. She's not going to say that. She's the defense attorney. That would be just terrible. That would be like the prosecution saying there's hardly any evidence against him. Nobody's going to talk like that. So she's going to say, that there wasn't a lot, but there was some. There was some. Okay. That's why she wants to have the genealogy, the IgG, thrown out, because that led to them arresting him at his parents' house. And once they had him under arrest, he didn't volunteer his DNA. They got a court order, so they had a warrant for that, which is why she's not objecting to that. They got a cheek swab, and that is the DNA sample that matched to the inside snap of the knife sheath that was found underneath and to the side of Maddie. So, this is either the most unlucky guy in the world, or he was there. Charmaine says there could be trace amounts of fluids as well on the gas pedal. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Very interesting. Yeah. Allison said he doesn't have a lot of friends. Well, he was kind of a loner. That's why some people have said, they didn't think that so whoever did this would have acted alone. They think that they would have needed help. But I think Allison, that he was a loner, and I think that he would have acted alone if he did this. Okay. I think he did act alone if he did this. There was, we even have his father talking to one of his neighbors when he was moving into his Pullman apartment, saying, get to know him a little bit, make friends. He, struggles to make friends. And we've heard from all of his friends from the past that have said, he was kind of a, oddball out. The other thing that could be coming in regarding mental health is bullying. If he was a victim of bullying, and if he suffered from anxiety or depression from being bullied. Now, lots of people get bullied, so I don't think it's going to be an excuse to the jury to go out and do away with people, but it might explain some other behaviors, right? That Ann Taylor needs to address, that we just don't know about. So remember, there is evidence, because Ann Taylor filed 13 motions to keep evidence out. We just don't know what all of it is yet. We're going to have to wait for the trial, because Ann Taylor requested on behalf of Bryan Kohberger that a gag order be put in place, and that was the right thing for her to do. Wicked says, I want to know where Kohberger's shower curtain went. Right. So if you remember, when the law enforcement went in, his shower curtain was missing, right? It was missing. So, is it just that I don't know. Like, where'd the shower curtain go? You don't take that on vacation with your parents' house. He lived on the second floor, so if he was showering without a shower curtain, his neighbor downstairs would for sure have been complaining. So, yeah. And then Midwest, this is such a great point. You have to remember that Ted Bundy was a law student and had a BD in psychology. Yeah, and Dennis Rader also was a criminologist. So, yeah, it's not unheard of. I know it's like really hard for all of us to like wrap our heads around the fact that somebody who looks nice and seems nice, like Chris Watts, could do away with his own children, the mother of his children, and his unborn son. Like, how do you seem so nice and commit an act like that? But we know, because Chris Watts pled guilty, that he did do this, right? Jodi Arias is another one. She seems nice. She looked nice. You wouldn't think, just to look at her, that she would go in and do what she did to Travis Alexander. And remember, Travis sat on that laid on that bathroom floor in his shower for days, and he had roommates, you guys. Not hours, not 8 hours, days. It was several days. And law enforcement said, couldn't you smell it? And they said, well, we just thought he needed to throw out his garbage, because they didn't know what decomp smelled like. So this has happened before, where we've had roommates not call right away. And we know Jodi Arias did it, even though she said she didn't do it, because there are literally photographs of her at the crime scene that were taken on her camera. Thank you, Elsa. Okay. Princess Elsa, thank you so much for being a channel member for 5 months. Yay. Thank you. Rolo says, read every cellmate's court docs. And when I saw Brian's PCA, I knew instantly it was a joke. It screamed frame job. Well, we'll see. We'll see what the jury decides. We'll find out. We will find out. Thank you, NJazz, for the $10 super sticker. That is so nice. And you gifted 5 memberships earlier today. You guys, I just can't thank you enough. I really do appreciate it. I am going to put it toward a computer. I still have it saved for it. I'm going to work toward it, because mine is literally buzzing at me right now, because I was editing on it all day. And so now it's overheating. It's overheating a little bit, but I did replace the camera. So I think you guys can see me better. Let's go back to your questions, because you guys are bringing it. I love reading through your questions. Absolutely love it. Okay, so we did the poll, and looks like we've got ones. Yes, they did officially pass. Well, let me just say, they moved it. It's not all the way through. It moved out of the House. So it's not law yet, but it's out of the house. It's on its way. I hope that answers your question. Patricia's put in a 1. Allegedly says, absolutely not. I think BK is very narcissistic. He won't ever accept life in prison. My opinion only. Mike O'Kimmy says no. Brother Mike says 1. Kami says he thinks he can prove he didn't do it, even though he did do it. And Julie says passed during squad. Rollo says the blood DNAs will show who was really inside the 1122 King Road house. Right. We'll see. And if it's just a law enforcement officer or a crime scene tech, hopefully that will put it to bed. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, we have to wait for the trial. And maybe this will exonerate him or create reasonable doubt. I don't know. All we know is that the only thing I'm disagreeing on is that it wasn't tested, because we know it belonged to a male, and that there was, other male DNA found at the scene, and there was police all over the crime scene, and that house was a party house. But because we know that the blood belonged to a male, we know also that the blood was tested, because you can't tell from looking at blood whether it belongs to a male or it belongs to a female. So yeah, fair point. And Jess says, I don't think the prosecution will take DP off the table, in my opinion. I think if they get to that point, we know with the Chris Watts case, that's exactly what happened, right? That's exactly what happened. And he, ultimately probably didn't want to risk it. I wasn't there with his consultation with his attorney, so this is just, supposition on my part. But I think that he probably didn't want to take a chance on it, so they took it off the table. But they did have to get family members' permission to do it, because I think that if they don't get the family members on board, I don't see how the prosecution takes it off the table, because I think there'll be some family members that'll be really upset. Remember, if somebody gets convicted and there's no DP, they can appeal and appeal and appeal. Think about Scott Peterson is appealing right now. The Menendez brothers, a lot of people said, yeah, but they were, their parents, I'm going to watch my words here, the A word, but they weren't being good to them. They were, they were hurting them. But the thing is, these were grown adult men. They could have moved out. They could have walked away. They didn't have to handle it that way. So, it's I think it's just going to come down to what really happened. In this case, it's really hard for Ann Taylor, if he is found guilty, and that's a big if. It's going to be hard for Ann Taylor, in my opinion, to find mitigating factors, because these young people were in their own homes, in their own bedrooms when these crimes occurred. So it wasn't like they were out and they got into a fight with him at a party or something like that. So Leslie does not think that there's any way that DP is coming off the table. Okay, thanks, Brother Mike. All right, let's take some more questions. Let me see what else. Lots is gagged. Yeah. Kimmy says, I think he trapped her in the room when she walked in and did away with her. Which her? Because we have 3 hers, sadly. We have Maddie, we have Kaylee, and we have Xana. That's where I think the mitigating is going to be hard. Yeah, there's no glove next to the sliding door. I don't know where that came from, but I haven't found anything from any credible source that shows that. If you have a source, link it in the comment section below so I can look at it and bring it up at the next thing. Okay. Let me see. Dale says, I know when I go stargazing at 2 a.m. to 5 a.m., I also turn my phone off so stars don't see or hear me come. So come on. I think that Ann Taylor had to put him in the car. And the reason, in my opinion, that she had to put him in the car is because there is cameras, right? Now, we went through that at the beginning of this live stream, and I showed you, where that information came from. So I think there is going to be camera data of that car, from doorbell cams and business cams, going to and leaving from the crime scene. So she had to put him in the car driving around. So what do you say he was doing? But the thing is, it's going to be the battle of the experts again, because, I think Cy Vance is going to come in with the cell phone data. I think he's going to do a great job testifying for the defense, but I think the prosecution is going to come in with also their cell phone expert. And they're also, I think, going to come in with a weather expert that's going to point out that it was foggy that night and you really couldn't see the stars on a foggy night in Moscow on that foggy night. Hi, Beth. I'm glad to see you. Oh, speaking of which, before I forget, let me take this down for a second. I do want to say just a shout out to our producers. I'm not ending. I just want to just do a shout out. And Jess, Sasha, Angel, and Mikey M. And to our channel members. You guys allow me to cover cases like this. You allow me the freedom to be able to do the live streams. I really appreciate your support. If you got gifted a channel membership, your name will be in the next video that comes out, because I'm editing a Sebastian Rogers video right now. So I'll add your names in to that. And it'll be out probably not tomorrow, but the day after. And then thank you. This is last week's super thanks and coffee gratitude. I really appreciate you. And for gifted memberships, thank you, and Jazz. So thank you so much. So let's get back to your questions, because you guys are asking some really great questions. I'm really enjoying getting to spend this time with you guys. You were kind enough to spend a little time with me, and I would like to spend a little. Yeah, Leslie says, once you smell that smell, you never forget. It's true. But if you're a young person and you've never smelled it, you might not, they thought it was rotting food. And maybe, it wasn't that uncommon for guy roommates living together to, to have food, food bags or something like that in their rooms. AZ says a sleep disorder would also be noted in a mental health evaluation. That would help explain the odd behavior, such as driving around at night to the jury. Oh my gosh. AZ. Yeah, totally. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Great point. This is why I love reading your comments. Native American says, I think he's going to be proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Leslie agrees with you. Truth Exposed. Hey, good to see you. Said it was tested, but their DNA wasn't in CODIS. Okay, so that just means they didn't commit any crimes. But so they know it was male. I mean, we'll see. I think we'll have to see. If it was tested and all they know is that it's male, that will be Ann Taylor's will have a great chance, in my opinion, to raise reasonable doubt by saying there could have been another male perpetrator at the crime scene. I think the prosecution will come back to that with it was a party house and there were men and women from law enforcement and CSI. And remember, the Moscow PD hadn't had a crime like that in 8 years. So they called in the Idaho State Police and then from there, the FBI. So there was a lot of people in and out of that house. Well, we'll see. Well, right now we have a gag order, so we're probably not going to find that out until August, but we will find out about these 13 motions. We are going to get to find out about that. So as soon as I have that, we're going to go through the motions. We're going to figure out what we can glean for it, how it helps the prosecution, how it helps the defense, and go from there. Mike says he is a stone. I'm curious if convicted, if he will ever talk. Well, he did talk that's why I wanted to show you the car video. And I do have a video of him in the traffic stop actually talking. If you, it's in my playlist if you want to check it out. I just don't want to go looking for it while I'm, right in the middle of a live stream. But if you want me to show that video next week, I'll be glad to pull it up, because I know some of you guys are newer to the case, or maybe you didn't see the videos I made. I mean, I've made over 130 videos. I'm sure no one has had a chance to watch all of them. So yeah, let me just drop me a comment below. Remind me to bring that and I will show you. And if you want to see Ann Taylor saying that it is BK's car where she kind of slips up, I can show you guys that at the next live stream as well. Just let me know. Zinab says the unknown male blood found would mean that the perpetrator was bleeding wounded. So why no more blood found? When wounded in a hurry, you can't only leave one drop. Clean up everything, all the micro droplets. Great point. And welcome to Reporter Room. I don't know if I've interacted with you in a live stream before. And thank you so much to our head mod. Thank you to all of our mods, you guys. Don't we have like really nice mods? You guys can all opinions are welcome. And thank you to our head mod. This is Njaz. She's our head mod, along with Six Sense Amelia, and she just does such a great job. We're so lucky to have all these awesome mods. Mike said there was a lot in that house. They have the tools to figure out what is related to the crime, and that's why the FBI and the state was called. I think so too. Hi, Nikki. Welcome. Okay, AZ says, right. For all we know, the blood was on the underside of the railing and determined to be weeks or months old. I'm sure Ann Taylor, if there's something to it, she's such a good attorney. I'm sure she's going to bring it up at the trial. I think we're just going to have to wait, you guys. I would love it if that, we could find out more. And if I find out anything, I will bring it to you. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell because, this is a critical thinkers channel. So I'm going to bring you all the information so you guys can make up your own mind. I have a point of view for sure, but I'm open to hearing what you guys have to say too. I learn from you guys. Truth Exposed says it's the weight of all of the evidence put together, right? It'll be the brick by brick, piece by piece put together. Microchemie does not think that they were in the bed together. Well, I think we're going to have to wait till the trial to find that out. Mike says there were 3 cameras alone just on that street. And that they have BK on camera, in my opinion. This is Mike's opinion, more than just that night. Kami says they were, though. She was in the bed slumped. Well, we'll find out. We'll find out. Mike thinks they have weeks of video of several cameras. Truth Exposed says reporter room, Cy Ray. Oh, I think I said Cy Vance. Sorry, I think that's a prosecutor in New York. Cy Ray reserved his professional opinion to be for the defense or the prosecution when he's allowed to take a look at all the data. Thank you for sharing that. He said his testimony could very well be in favor of the prosecution. I think it is going to be in favor of the defense. I don't think Ann Taylor's going to put him on if he's not going to help her case. That's just, but I mean, we'll see. And maybe what he's saying is, I'm not going to twist something to try to make it look like something else. He wants to come across as trustworthy. And he typically does. He has in the past always testified on behalf of the prosecution before he was hired by Ann Taylor. So, yeah. Dale Peterson says, no, I'm not saying it's obvious, but somebody does a crime. They will use this as an excuse if that flies our court system is busted. Yeah, I agree. And that's why I'm all for I would love it if the gag order was lifted as a content creator, right? I would love it because then I could, share a lot more. We'd have answers to all these, great questions and comments. But I agree. We don't want to get to the point where things are so corrupted that we are releasing all this evidence, which hurts BK's right to a fair trial. And we also don't want to have like what we just saw in the Delphi case with Richard Allen, and I'm not saying he's guilty or not guilty. I'm just saying that the judge's lack of transparency has left this gap where people can fill it in with questions and, raise doubt. Yeah, Ed Justice, thank you to everybody who's with us tonight. I'm really grateful you guys came by. Thank you so much. Let's see if we can get in a couple more questions. Veronica's here. Hi, Veronica. If you don't know Veronica, she is in with Brother Mike and Njaz and Leslie and Kimmy are all in a Facebook group that I have. If you type in Reporter Room and Bryan Kohberger, it should pop up. Or Reporter Room and Sebastian Rogers, it should pop up. And we do all kinds of cases, not just this case. We do the Jean Benet case. We do Summer Wells. We talk about anything that's like happening at the moment. So it's a really nice group. And Veronica is one of our mods in there. All right. Let's see where we're at. Leslie says, oh, thank you, Leslie. Well, thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate you coming by to spend a little time with me. It means a lot to me to get to share this with you and to be able to interact with you and to hear what you have to say. And please feel free to drop me a comment in the comment section below. Please consider subscribing. It's the only way I can get to 40K is with your help. And we're getting there. I think we'll get there in the next month or two. And I'm doing a giveaway, a bunch of channel memberships and some money. If you look on my channel, you look up giveaway, it should pop up. And you could also go through the comments where I post comments in the post section. I also listed out, everything about the giveaway. I'm not going to rehash it tonight. So I will see you. Thank you to our channel members. Thank you to our mods, and thank you to all of our subscribers. And I will see you maybe Sunday. Let me know if you want me to do a live stream on Sunday. And if so, what case? Would you like another Bryan Kohberger live stream? Or would you like me to dive into the Sebastian Rogers case or a different case? Let me know, and I will see what I can do to make that happen for you. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.